Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to be talking about the definition of quality-driven SEO in gaming. My name is Martin Calvert. I am the marketing director at ICS Digital and ICS Translate. We are an agency that focuses very much on SEO, international SEO, and have been working in gaming and affiliation for a very, very long time. Part of my remit really is to keep us up to date on what is effective in the here and now in terms of SEO, in terms of how we can support our operator partners, our affiliate partners better for them to rank effectively in Google. So there's a lot to talk about really, but ultimately SEO still to this day comes down to your on-site content, the on-site experience, and also the off-site elements, well, the links that are pointing to your site. So that's familiar to everybody pretty much. I think what has changed is how we define quality, how we define what is effective, and what we can take from Google at face value. So even 10 years ago, 12 years ago, Google was talking about quality. It was talking about do the right thing, don't be manipulative, don't do anything naughty. But if we're honest, you could do the naughty things and still get rewarded with rankings and traffic and FTDs and all of this type of stuff. So I think in gaming, people learned to take what Google says with a pinch of salt. I'm going to try and make a little bit of a case today that we should be focusing a bit more on what Google has to say seriously, because Google is becoming better at backing up its statements, backing up its instructions to what we should all be doing. So we know in principle there's certain tactics that we shouldn't be doing anymore. So highly aggressive, spammy link building, keyword stuffing, all this type of stuff that really doesn't benefit the user in any way, that is manipulative, that doesn't have a quality element, objectively. So we know that that can be tricky, and we know that since Panda, Penguin, the BERT edition last year, that Google's becoming more aware of how to determine what content means, what authority is in SEO, and how to reward sites basically. So what we can do is focus on what does Google say about on-site content, and how can we take it seriously in a way that will actually produce measurable results? And what can we do with off-site content as well to make sure we're doing something that's scalable, something that's measurable, something that's actually putting rankings in a better position than they were before, but in a safe way. So one of the concepts that Google goes on about, and it's something we do endorse, is the kind of EAT methodology, so EAT or principles. So talking about expertise, authority, and trust, and that's something that can be reflected in your content about the depth you go into, how you back up your statements, how you're writing for human beings, how you're qualifying what you're saying, and that doesn't just apply to like academic websites. That applies to casino reviews. That applies to match previews and tips and sports books. So we know what type of quality looks like in that sense. It's just about the delivery of it. And we've seen that Google is becoming more effective at rewarding people that are good at this in recent years. So we've had successive broad core updates that are not just about one aspect of SEO. They're actually about the entire offering that you have as a brand. So it's not just like one thing. It's quality as a whole. So this is where it gets a bit trickier, because it's not about fixing something, moving on, or asking for a reconsideration of your website. You've really got to be firing all cylinders in order to be effective and competitive these days. So on-site experience is going to matter more. Google's given us some details about what's called core web vitals. These are the elements of online experience that Google will be focusing on in 2021, so plenty of advance warning. And these principles will be about page experience, it'll be about technical infrastructure, but it's with purpose. It's by focusing on quality metrics that benefit the user. This is a method that we'll try and use to reward sites that are good and punish sites that are bad. So when we think about it, whenever you're on a gaming site, there's multiple steps you go through to register, to find the information you need about a particular game, or to launch a game, or to look at odds, or to read up on race cards, or whatever it happens to be. But if that experience is slow, if it's punishing, if it's painful, if it can't be done on a really quite poor 3G connection in a place with a wonky signal, you're going to be pushing customers away, but increasingly you're going to be damaging your SEO. So really this is where it's time to get real about the elements of online experience that matter the most. Google's stated aim is to, give great page experiences, enable people to get more done and engage more deeply. In contrast, a bad page experience could stand in the way of a person being able to find valuable information on a page. So that's quite clear advice. And affiliates in particular, they've got some advantages. They don't have necessarily the complex platforms that operators deal with. You don't have fixed, platform where you have to have the same infrastructure to protect people from hacks and all the rest of it. It's really just information on a page. You don't have to protect the integrity of your games or odds or anything like this. It's just information. So you've got more flexibility than operators. You've got the ability to do better. So those core web vitals that I mentioned, there's lots of material on this on the Google blog, and it's something that's definitely going to be a ranking factor. We've been clear about it, and everything is pointing in this direction, so we should take it at face value. The main elements that they've detailed so far is about loading and speed, visual stability, and that means making sure that if something is getting rendered on the page, like a game or a preview or a review, that you're actually showing it in a way that is understandable. It's not jumping all around. You're not having anything that is obstructing that user experience. That relates to interactivity and accessibility, not just for user experience, but also for accessibility for people who might have vision impairments or anything else. So it's about making sure nobody is excluded. And then also potentially looking at engagement metrics like time on site, bounce rates, other measures of how well your site is performing. So this is definitely coming in. It's unambiguous. And what we can do is focus on how to produce content in a way that meets that criteria, to build sites that aren't, behind competitors in terms of page speed. There's no crazy JavaScript that's making it hard for people to read or understand what's going on. Keep it as simple as possible, and you will be rewarded in SEO terms. This is really important, not least because so many sites in gaming are kind of undifferentiated. People write about the same topics all the time, the same football matches, the same casino games. So it gets quite repetitive. So in order to stand apart, this is one element that you really should consider. Not just because it's what Google wanted to do, but because it will produce some clear water between you and your competitors. How should you prioritize that as an affiliate? You should focus on content that's easy to consume, not just comprehensive, not just words for the sake of it. Design that is responsive, fast, accessible, not just pretty. Navigation, site content, visuals, and interactive elements that make life easier, not harder for visitors. And that'll be a really, really good start. The other thing to bear in mind is, when we're talking about quality in SEO, is how to make sure that you are being seen as a resource, as the source of answers that people are looking for, because Google really wants to give people the right answer. And one way that Google does that is through rich snippets. So the kind of elements on the page that Google isolates, pulls out from your web page, and presents directly in the search engine results. Now, a lot of affiliates are a little bit critical of this. They're thinking, well, Google is taking my material and presenting it and denying me this potential traffic. And with 40 to 50% of searches now presenting potential zero-click results, this could be quite a troubling situation. But the research is actually showing that click-through rate for queries that present answers in rich snippets, they do have a higher click-through rate on average than sites that don't. Now, what we do need to bear in mind is quality content that is authoritative and entertaining and long form that prompts a click. And it's where we can accommodate the queries from people who are doing searches that show intent to research or evaluate multiple options. So in gaming, that could be looking for best odds, offers, new games, different types of game, top casinos, top bonuses. This is where you've got a chance to give people the answer, but not rest there. Give an answer that will prompt them to click through to your site to read in more depth. So this is something that affiliates in particular can be more agile on than operators. So there's plenty that we can consider in terms of on-site content, from in-play football content to in-depth reviews for the casino side, video content, lots of different things. But I don't want to finish without bringing up off-site SEO. So link building is still a key part. Quality link building, and what I mean by that. So avoid PBMs, avoid spammy websites with no real visitors. There's still a place for that traditional link building where you're actually potentially having some kind of commercial relationship, but it's got to be with the right site that is visited by real people and has something to offer. Another way to go about getting links rather than this traditional approach is to, again, take a quality-driven approach. So use digital PR, research, data, analysis, anything you can do to create a story that will impress journalists, impress webmasters, impress bloggers and influencers, and that will give a reason for them to link to you. And this is what we call an earned link. So that's not always easy to do in casino. It's not always easy to do in sport either, but there's more inherent stories there. So, in summing up, there's a lot that we can do for on-site content. Google is giving us a lot of the answers. Increasingly, when you look at the top performers, we'll see the common traits. And for off-site SEO, it's really about maintaining a quality approach, avoiding quick wins that are not really wins, and broadening out the ways that you're getting links to your site. So I'll be perfectly happy to answer any and all questions directly, indirectly. I'm always on LinkedIn, and I really hope that this was useful to you. In terms of what we do at ICS, this is our bread and butter, so if we can help in any way, let us know and we'll give pointers, tips, anything that will help, because we want to make the industry better.